for reading today. Miss Carolyn Reese. You can tell this book has been through some stuff with me. I came to the work of Sacred Contracts quite a while ago, and I'm emotional about it because I was studying this heavily, and her archetyping methodology, actually, which was really cool and powerful for me at the time. So I play with my hair. And then I went away from it because I went through something pretty big, and I wanted to focus there. And something came up last night. I was like, I need to go get my Sacred Contracts book, and I actually know where it is. And I want to bring her into this reading. She's got great points, and she's got a lot of power, and I love some of her. My further study has taken me a little more away from it, but I love what she offers, and I think it's powerful here as I'm evolving in my own way. I resist sometimes myself so much, and like I love making videos and I love sharing them, and I get in my way because I think, why would anybody want to watch me yammer away? And for so long I would take them and not share them because the places I had to share them had a lot of history or people that I know that I think I can just almost feel their judgment or think about it when I share, and I want to be able to freely share. That's why I made a channel buried somewhere on YouTube to just share and start, because it's something I want to do. And if it helps someone, that would mean so much to me, but it's not the why. But I do need a place where I can share without shame. And I'm realizing it's shame and fear of judgment, I guess, that has kept me from sharing at other places. And I don't think they could hear me or what I have to say anyway, or maybe they're not even into it. We collect people from all different places in our lives, and I need a place. It's not even about them. That's blame. It's about me and where I hold myself back. And when I think of myself being processed through their eyes, which I shouldn't be thinking about at all, but whatever, it stops me because I want to share without worrying about feedback. And if somebody shares with me, that's awesome. And I'm on this journey, and I want to be able to do it without that kind of distraction, just to be free in my journey to asking for what makes me feel good. And it's confusing in some ways because I'm discovering, one, my emotional set point, which is the mood you basically live at. We all have a mood we tend to live at, and we have a lot of momentum there. And I haven't really thought about that, and I didn't really know what it was. And I've been using this tool of emotional guidance scale. And I mean, I've been in coaching and transformation and all kinds of different worlds on work and business. And I knew something like this, and I've been picking up on vibration for a long time, I realized, but I didn't have the language and the tools to really speak about it. And because I was so busy and so intensely living and going and pushing through, and I couldn't get to where I was really at. There was always something to look at causing it. Well, work is really stressful. I'm really tired, and I've got all these things to do, or this project, or this person that works for me is having a problem, or my family's having an issue, or all these millions of things going on. And I have a unique opportunity to stop and clear all that out. Well, I don't even have kids. I could, and I don't, so I don't even have that distraction. I think that makes it so difficult to really focus on yourself and know where you're really at, because I think for moms, that's just kind of always playing in your vibrational space once you have kids. And so here I have this opportunity, and I feel called to talk about it. I don't even know why, but I'm just gonna do it because it's part of what makes me feel good, and I can't be wrong, right? That's why I'm doing this. So I'm discovering I'm at worry, that I think I woke up this morning and I had multiple things I was worrying about that I have no reason to worry about. It's not even legitimate now. And that's how I'm able to see it's my vibrational state, and then my brain just likes to pick up on something in that vibrational state. So those thoughts aren't coming from source. Those thoughts are just being given to me, and then my brain just circles around because it likes to have a problem to think about. It likes to circle around about something and just try to process it as if I can ever get anywhere by rethinking a text conversation or a personal conversation or through all the details of a problem or what I'm going to do about it. You never get there from there. I very rarely end up actually doing those things. And I can think about those things when I get there. There's something in me that feels like it's pre-planning, but I'm realizing it is in a way and not in the right way. I want thoughts that come from source and God. I'm feeling good. I get that that's where the power is now, and I'm getting inklings of it, like breakthroughs of feeling happier and better than I've ever felt before. I'm finding a way to get myself up on the vibrational scale. And now, as I'm reading and looking, different pieces of wisdom are coming to me in big ways, different questions, and I'm able to look at things and hear them in a new way. So, that's a long intro, but I'm gonna read this now. Part of me thinks I should start a new video and just scratch what I said, but I think from there I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna read this, and I haven't read this in a long time. I've opened it up to a certain place, and I guess what I'm getting at is this book is a lot about sacred contracts, which is the idea that you have a place to really be and to go, like somewhere divine. I'm getting emotional again, so there's something to it. Somewhere divine in each place and each stop. And this morning I feel really drawn a bit to share my story too, which is really scary. The only place I've done that is in like a 12-step room. Fully. Parts of it I've shared, but it's very wild story. It's very up and very down. I've had like incredible, amazing life experiences and really, really crappy ones. And Abraham would say, don't share your story, rewrite it. Just forget about the past. But there's a piece of me that wants to share it at least once. I don't even really know why, but I do. I don't know why. To help people think that it's accessible, maybe by sharing it, I'll get something out of it, in the sense of, as I'm beginning to understand this stuff more and more, like there's a divine place that we're going, and there's a reason we get stopped on certain tracks. It's easy to say, well, maybe I should have continued that track, or I really screwed up when I didn't keep that job. I'd be so rich by now, or, you know, I shouldn't have gotten in that relationship, or whatever it is. It's easy for us to get caught up in those things and realizing that there's a divine order, but there's also something emotionally and mentally that called something else to me. And my story is very odd in how light broke through with me and how I'm reaching this place. And there's a piece of me that doesn't need to justify where I am, but wants to continue to open the path for anyone that might be looking or hurting. You know, I have a friend who's really hurting right now and really lost in addiction and sadness and grief. And I was there. And my life is so amazing now. And if anyone's out there feeling that way, I want to help open the way for them. Because it's hard through people we know, but maybe a random stranger can see something, a possibility in me that they have too, because I've walked the road. That would mean a lot to me, because I know how lost you can feel and how hopeless at times. And then part of me is like, well, what I study would say, get away from the hopelessness and don't look at it and just focus on the positive. And that's a huge piece of this work, because as I'm talking about this, I'm realizing there's something I need to do there before I can move on, like an egg I need to lay or something, to put that out there, and then I can leave it. Because the people who did that for me really helped me. That's the power of it. Something like AA or the 12 steps, where someone else has been through what you've been through and they're okay now. And that means a lot in that space. Seeing someone else. Okay. It's just a page and a half. Let's see where it takes us. So anyway, so sacred contracts is the idea that you're divinely inspired. You have a path that you're going on. Not all the details, but a general vicinity of, things, people you're supposed to meet, not really how it's supposed to go, but places that you're supposed to be, people you're supposed to meet. And then in the back of the she gets into archetyping, which is pretty fantastic, which is this idea that we have certain energies. Everyone has certain energies in their life, and those energies help you fulfill your sacred contract and lead you on your way. For example, all people have 4 of the same, which are a bit intense sounding. Maybe I shouldn't throw them out, but everybody has a child archetype, because we've all been a child. Everybody has a victim archetype. We all experience victimization. Everybody has a prostitute, which is a strong word, but really your prostitute archetype is just showing you where you sell out. So wherever you've sold out in life. And then everybody has a saboteur archetype, which is where you undermine yourself, where you sabotage yourself. We all have those because those help us look at where our growth is. And then you have 8 others that tend to sound much more positive. For example, I have a queen archetype. I'm sure you could see it if you would know me. In some ways, it's very apparent. And of course, there's a shadow side, and then there's a super positive side, a light side, I guess I should say, a shadow and a light side to every archetype. We all know the shadow queen. The perfect shadow queen example is the Red Queen from Alice in Wonderland. That's a really common archetype everyone can relate to. Mother is a big archetype for many. And just these energies that you have in your life that you access that help lead you places. So this isn't about archetyping. I'm reading just a little thing that says balancing fate and free choice in your sacred contract. This is where it opened. In other cultures and at other times, people have envisioned their sacred contract as the action of fate, the grace of God, or the accumulated karma of past deeds. Fatalism about life and love leads some to say, for example, so the fatalism idea. So fatalism about life and love leads some to say, for example, it was just his time, or they were meant for each other, or it was the work she was born to do. So it's the belief in fate. Modern scientific culture tries to attribute such events to genetic predisposition, to cause and effect, or to chance. And that's where Alan Watts, the book, and his work on cause and effect and how it doesn't make sense the way we generate cause and effect is so powerful to speak into our belief that there's a cause and an effect. I love his idea that that's not how it works, that the whole situation rises up together, that it's not like you did one thing to cause this. The whole situation was created at the same time in some ways and then just plays out through time. Eastern cultures, which have studied the interior processes of the psyche and spirit longer and more intensively than the West, have evolved a belief in a continuum of lifetimes rather than a single life, followed by eternal reward or punishment. According to the laws of karma, just as your actions in this life plant seeds that ripen and bear fruit in future lives, so your current lifetime reflects your past deeds. Although the Eastern system of karma and reincarnation is considered to be overseen by gods or a greater energy, our rewards and punishments and the rate at which we evolve spiritually are all based almost entirely on our own efforts. The West has tended to favor a mixture of fatalism and divine order. Greek and Nordic mythology paid homage to the 3 fates who spin, weave, and cut the thread of life. Ancient Mediterranean and Middle Eastern societies relied on soothsayers, oracles, and astrologers to help them discern the course of their lives as already determined or written in the stars. The Western monotheistic tradition, so single God, that arose in the Middle East assigned much power to the role of God in determining our destinies, while still placing a large burden on individuals to follow God's laws or reap the consequences. And I love the background from some of the other readings that comes from the fact that they were ruled by kings. There was a very monarch culture, sultan culture in the Middle East and Europe that contributed to our idea of God in this same sort of ruling way. And then it's up to the people being ruled and whether they're going to be put to death or rewarded. It really definitely, I see the reflection of a ruling king in our understanding of God in the West, or that culture. The Protestant doctrine of predestination, preached by John Calvin and others in the 16th century, however, tipped the balance entirely in God's favor. According to their beliefs, our purpose in life is to fulfill the duties and responsibilities that God has assigned to us. But because human nature is essentially corrupt, we cannot achieve salvation, the reward of heaven, except by the grace of God. Moreover, to the Calvinists, God has predestined certain people to receive that grace and not others, leaving us dependent on a kind of luck controlled by the divine, which has already decided our fate. Acting morally is all but reduced to a form of hoping that one is already among the elect. Kind of a bummer. To help you share in my own vision of sacred contracts, I use comparisons from both Eastern and Western beliefs about the relative roles of fate, free will, and divine will. Yet I believe that we have a deeply intimate relationship with the divine and a very impersonal relationship with cosmic order. The laws of the universe, such as cause and effect and magnetic attraction, apply equally to all. So let's say it again. I believe that we have a deeply intimate relationship with the divine and a very impersonal relationship with cosmic order. The laws of the universe, such as cause and effect and magnetic attraction, apply equally to all. So that'd be the law of attraction. I love that. It's like gravity. It's not that some get it and some don't. And I love that she said we have a deeply intimate relationship with the divine. Well, from everything I'm studying and coming to the place, we are the divine in so many words. So it would be a deeply intimate relationship. The orbiting of the planets and the timing of the tides take care of themselves, and I do not have to think about them. We actually embody the laws of the universe, whether we exercise our power of choice. I make a choice, and it has a consequence, regardless of who I am. Yet I can influence the quality of that consequence if I am mindful in my intention. This fact that we can determine our own motivations reflects our intimate connection with the divine. Can determine our own motivations. It's true, but one thing animals don't do, they just do. I don't think they think about why they do. My intentions do not change the laws because all my choices will still have consequences. But if my motivations are compassionate and sincere, the consequences are more likely to be positive. And a single action can result in an estimable cascade of physical, emotional, and spiritual effects. As part of our intimate relationship with the divine, it prods us to learn lessons and work on our spiritual growth in ways that we may consciously resist at times. That may sound like a contradiction. If we have co-created our contract with the divine, why would we resist or ignore it? We do because before we're born, we forget the particulars of our agreements. We have to remember our purpose by taking action and searching for it. This is not as difficult as it may sound, because when you're living in accord with your contract, your sacred contract she's speaking about, you usually know you're on the right path. We all slip off the right path at one point or another, however, perhaps when we are trying to take the path of least resistance, as the nuns who taught me used to say. Interesting, that's in direct conflict with Abraham saying, your inner being is always trying to pull you along the path of least resistance. So she's got a little bit in here of the harder path is the right path. It's that Catholicism she's saying, as the nuns used to say. I'd go differently. I would say that we're not listening to the guidance, or we're afraid in some ways of our own power and the manifestation of our own contract. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because we get so caught up in the unworthiness conversation of being like a little human here, that suddenly the idea of having some big purpose or contract and being that powerful, we think in some way we don't deserve it. I almost think it runs along those lines. And that's not something conscious most people are thinking about. She get down to your saboteur, right? Your saboteur is sabotaging you. So maybe she'll get into that in a second. Ultimately, we make choices every day, consciously and unconsciously, that implement the terms of our contract, keeping us on the path or getting us back on the path. I don't really think we can get off the path either. I think there are ways to manifest more satisfyingly in your life or not. But I don't think you could get off your path. It doesn't really make sense to me. And that's why I guess one reason I felt drawn a little away from this work and into other things that are more, because it seemed like I was very off my path, probably. I even had my mom say, well, maybe you can still fulfill God's purpose for your life, Emily. I don't know. We can also choose to enlist the aid of archetypes, spirit guides, and even the grace of God through prayer and meditation to attempt to fill our agreements more expeditiously. If you do not choose to believe in a literal pre-birth contract or in reincarnation, or even in the power of grace, you might want to view your life metaphorically as a journey you've agreed to take. In past life regression therapy, for instance, patients are invited under hypnosis to re-enter the events of previous existences. Yet the leading proponents of this method have shown that the vivid stories people uncover about themselves during regression do not need to be viewed as literal events in order to be emotionally beneficial, but can be seen symbolically. People who remember past life wounds, beliefs, revelations, and family histories invariably feel that they've gained from the insights these memories provide into their own unconscious and life situation. Many Lives, Many Masters is a powerful book for that. I loved that. And then I actually got into past life regression in a way. I got into trauma incident therapy, which is supposed to be like this sort of form of going back and finding patterns in your life. I didn't expect it to suddenly end up in past lives, which it basically did. You're not hypnotized or anything, but in this other way, I got into past lives. And I have to say, it really did help me. It was really weird. It was really weird. And there were some really strange things that I saw and experienced, but I had very real shifts in this life. There was one in particular where I was a samurai in a past life, and I had all this guilt. I was crying, like the whole deal. I had a wife and a child, and I'm remembering this now as I talk about this. Let's look at my face. The power of it and how it again aligns with where I'm at now, and I didn't even realize. In that life, I had a bad leader of some kind. I had figured out he was bad, and I was trying to go tell a bigger leader about the corruption of this one, but I had to try to get there as fast as possible, and I had been set up, and it turned on me. And I didn't get there in time and get my word out. So when I went to go report to the bigger leader, the bad guy was already there, and I was forced to kill myself. In the way samurais can, you can do it in an honorable way. You have to like fall on your sword or something like that. I have to take a drink of my coffee here because I'm realizing I just went through something like that at my last job. It's a cycle that's much bigger. But what happened was, once I went through this experience, so before I had this past life regression in this therapy session, although again, it wasn't hypnosis and it wasn't past life regression, it was focusing on patterns in my current life that kind of took me back there. I used to always, when I would get scared, get this really strange cramp in my solar plexus, and it would make my whole body go really hot, and I couldn't think straight. And I still, when people are mad at me or it's a difficult conversation, I can turn bright red and it gets a little odd, but I don't get that anymore after I had that experience in that therapy session. I never again had that sensation in my solar plexus or the whole body thing as a result of that. And it was very weird because obviously in the samurai story, I kind of stabbed myself there and died because of it. And I wasn't able to say goodbye to my wife and son, which I did in this therapy session. And so I've never had an actual physical symptom of upset after that session than I did my whole life before. So that is really odd. So something really did happen there, whether you think it's real or not. I was really grateful for that. And then I'm realizing again, just at my last job, I sort of again uncovered this unethical stuff going on and tried to do something about it and really was unsuccessful. So I guess the message is, when am I going to give that up? Huh? You can also think of your sacred contract as your own unique contribution to life around you that arises from your particular set of circumstances, relationships, and family. Whatever interpretation you choose, the extent to which you can decode your contract will depend on your willingness to accept that everything we do is for a purpose far greater than we will ever know. That every deed you do affects your life and others for good or ill. I think it really only affects for good. The Course in Miracles would say that anything that seems like it's ill really doesn't happen at all, because it's not happening for God. And that would get into sort of Abraham's thing, that all it's ever seeing, all your inner being is ever seeing, is the positive. It's only ever looking forward. So I think the ill consequences are only things that are here in the physical. I don't think those have real results. As Thich Nhat Hanh, I have a book of his, interesting. I don't know if I'm saying it either. Thich Nhat Hanh, I think he's Vietnamese, so it's Thich. Nhat Hanah, he's a famous monk, teaches we enter are. Interesting. Maybe I should go get his book, We Enter Are. To believe in invisible order, or divine or implicate order, as quantum physics calls it, or the order beneath the disorder that chaos theory describes, it is a healthier, more interesting choice than seeing no meaning in life whatsoever. Looking for meaning and finding it is very satisfying, and feeling that things are purposeful. Discovering and working with your archetypes and other elements of your contract will change your view of your own destiny. You will bring new meaning to your life and move from seeing it as a random haphazard to accepting that it is carefully planned and directed, with you as an active participant. And she gives a great example. Of someone who went through a lot. But was able to find great satisfaction in life. The nature of grace and how and why we receive it have long been questions for Western philosophers and theologians. I see grace as a form of vital energy that descends to us from the divine, the Western equivalent of what the Indians call prana, literally meaning breath of life, and the Chinese qi. Qi has several different meanings, including air, breath, temperament, and strength, but it generally refers both to the vital energy that is circulated through and stored within the body, and the breath itself. Two aspects of qi considered to be inseparable. This vital energy is often viewed as an impersonal force emanating from the magnetic energy source of the universe. According to Taoist belief, it flows directly from the North Star and the Big Dipper. The key difference between the Eastern and Western conceptions of this vital force is that Easterners believe they can facilitate the flow of prana and qi through meditation and physical exercise, including breath control, yoga, and qigong. Although most Westerners believe that grace flows to us from the divine, Western religion itself is divided about precisely what opens the tap. Some believe that we need grace for our spiritual health and ultimate salvation, yet are completely dependent on God to bestow it on us, an outlook that would seem to diminish the role of free will. Others believe that we're entirely dependent on our own efforts to achieve salvation, but they find it difficult to explain those sudden, unexpected infusions of energy and insight that are capable of completely turning our lives around for better. Some Christians believe that grace is a spiritual supplement that is given to us when we request it through prayer or earn it through the use of sacramental rituals. Others believe that grace flows from God to us without being requested, just as it flows into the heart of an infant who is baptized, or works as a kind of secret force in the heart of a sinner that leads him to repent. However, and whenever it comes to us, though, most people believe that grace enhances our life force, providing us with strength, protection, and courage in times of need. It has the potential to heal illnesses and bestow blessings. I believe that we can earn grace through prayer, meditation, and other spiritual practices that increase its presence within us. But I also believe that there is a divine form of grace that provides us with spiritual stamina and direction, and that flows into us in times of need, whether we ask for it or not.